Good morning, Freedom Team. It is Monday, September 22nd. Crazy, crazy. Getting ready to head into the fourth quarter. You know what, though? For rev share guys, it couldn't get any better than this. That's when a lot of agents start to move is the last quarter. So definitely a great time to be reaching out. But anyways, I'm going to do one last little push here for if you have not signed up for EXPCon, guys, we have the entire leadership team. All seven of us are going. That is October 20th through 23rd. We have an event. Thank you, Miss Kathy. That Tuesday or October 21st. That night we have an event. We're all getting together. We've got one drink for everybody, unlimited appetizers. So hope to see everybody there. We did it last year, had about 65 show up. So again, October 20th through 23rd. You can go to EXPCon, go sign up if you haven't. Don't need to promote that anymore. You guys been hearing this probably on most of the Zooms that we've been doing, but definitely.
Well, and we're going to have some surprise guests. So
Yes, we are.
You definitely want to be at the whole event, but for sure at the Freedom Team event also on the 21st.
Yes, yes, definitely. Well, guys, we have a wonderful guest here, as always, Mr. Clark Broune. Let me give you a little bit of his background before we kick this thing off. That I have here on Clark. Clark has been in the real estate industry since 1978, excelling in multiple areas, including residential and commercial sales, land development, and franchise operations. As a former real estate franchise owner, he played a key role in expanding a well-known brokerage's footprint in Northern California. He has served as co-chairman of the Education Committee at the Board of Realtors and has mentored countless agents throughout his career. His leadership experience includes managing large business networks, and his influence in the industry has extended both nationally and internationally. At eXp Realty, Clark is focused on agent success by providing access to industry-leading training, financial growth opportunities, and a cloud-based business model designed for scalability. Agents who work with Clark benefit from his decades of experience as well as the advanced tools and support offered by eXp, including KV Core, Workplace Collaboration, which is now Slack, or for us, Facebook, and a revenue sharing system that helps agents build a long-term wealth. Through mentorship and proven business strategies, Clark is committed to helping agents achieve sustainable success in today's competitive market. So, Clark, man, we appreciate you jumping on here. This is obviously all about rev share, and we have a kind of a host of different type agents here, right? We have some that have built some pretty good sized groups, some who are just looking at this. We have new agents who are joining us every month. So we have some on here who probably haven't done any rev share. So why don't we start from scratch? Anything else you would like the audience to maybe know about you before we kind of kick this thing off other than what I just read?
Yeah, I think more from a personal note, I grew up in a real estate family. My mom was the first lady board president of our board of realtors here locally. She was Citizen of the Year, Realtor of the Year, president of Seroptimus, president of Republican Women's Association. I mean, everything you could imagine. So I kind of grew up in that environment. Really resisted it early on in my life because I didn't want to work that hard. I was having way too much fun. I was single at the time. Then I got married, had my first child, and after working, I used to look at I'd look at people, when I had a job, I was looking at people who were there 10, 15 years longer than me, and I decided that that wasn't for me. And so I went ahead and figured I should do something with my life, got my real estate license. I was doing shift work, so I was able to kind of go to real estate school at the time. And at that time, they didn't accept part-time realtors. You had to be full-time. So I jumped from a steady income, which was part of a union, making pretty good hourly wage, and into real estate 100%. And so the first 18 months starved. My mom took us out to dinner a lot. She understood what I was going through, but of course she wanted to see the grandchild probably more than me. And then after about 18 months, started doubling my income every year. After about 5 years in the process, became number one in GCI in both counties I worked in. Opened up an office, a franchise opportunity, owned a franchise with a few other partners. Did that for a few years and really decided I didn't like it. I didn't like the business owned me. I didn't own the business. And I was making way more money in my own production. And I'm sure people realize that when they open their own brokerage and so forth, that it's, and I discovered this as far as scalability. that we were looking at opening up multiple offices, and we discovered that you had to go to 10 offices from an economy of scale standpoint of view for it to be profitable. And I just didn't want to take that risk. And plus, it was up and down to the real estate market, and you can't turn overhead around as fast as income. So we got buried in overhead, got buried in responsibilities, trying to decide, how many rolls of toilet paper to put in the bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. And I said, that's it. And so I went back to the company that I left, and was able to work with my mom. But I'm saying this to say that at that time, I met a group of people through the number one realtor in our area, who had the number one office, and a group of people that understood how to build networks and build passive income. So I diversified from my real estate career on a part-time basis into a network marketing business, and in a period of about 18 months, matched my real estate income. And in about less than 5 years, 10x'd it. And so I left full-time real estate, and that was I was 32 years old. Living life pretty large. Had a huge organization that we were able to build over a period of about 10 years, and has provided passive income. So I say that to say that I met Brent Gove, about that time, late 80s, mentored him in business actually at the time. And we built a networking business together, and I became financially independent through that. Decades of passive income, which has been pretty exceptional, because the real estate model at that time didn't have anything that was even close to it. I was a transactional treadmill. I was, a solo agent, owned a company, and I was watching my mom, who was, the top of the industry. And if she stopped work, no money came in. And she was at times having a difficult time paying taxes. And so when I diversified into this business, and then I watched Brent as he's got a real estate in 1990, number one at Remax, number one at Keller Williams, and then EXP found him. And there's a lesson in this, and that is early on when Brent got involved and I saw the success with it. I'd been approached by EXP because of my background in networking. And honestly, the person never showed me the model. It just talked about it. And that happened to me twice, that they really didn't go into the model. And at the time, timing could have been off for me. And then the person I eventually joined into EXP at that time said the model wouldn't work. I mean, he said they were going to run out of money, all this kind of stuff. And, so I just kind of shoved it off. And then about 3 years ago, got reconnected with Brent. Actually was sitting down with a business partner for lunch. Steve Hilliard joined me. He's the guy who had the independent brokerage that brought over to EXP. And he says he was coming over. Actually, Don, my business partner, says, "Oh, we're taking our whole brokerage over to EXP." I says, "What?" It was a total 180-degree turn from what was before. And when I sat down at lunch, and then I finally watched the model explained. And I said, I had no clue. This was totally right in my wheelhouse. And so at that lunch, I was texting Brent as we're having lunch with Steve and Don. Text Brent, and we got together for coffee a few days later, and it was just before one of his team meetings. And then I went from coffee, or actually breakfast, with Brent to the team meeting. Saw Brent kind of do his thing in front of a group, and I knew Brent. He was an amazing speaker, big business builder in my business before. And I thought, I just felt this was the right place, the right time. He invited me to an event, and it was a surprise birthday party for Glenn Sanford, actually. And Glenn thought it was a mastermind, and so Brent had rented out Charles Krug Winery, the Mondavi zone, and even the Mondavis, the family was actually doing wine tasting there. So I come to this event, and over 10 people, I mean, probably closer to 15, were in my business before, and in my networking business, and I just knew that God was telling me something. I just was right there, and so I went to EXPCon after that, and from that point on, that's what I've been doing. I looked at this business model, and I saw that there was something that realtors never had the opportunity to have before, and that was ownership, and that was multiple streams of income, including one being passive, and the rev share, all that. I looked at that and it says, and my heart's always been in real estate, and I was still financially independent at the time, and I says, I need to do this. I need to go out there and share this with other people, share this with other realtors. I know they've gone through the struggles I went through, and offer them, a lifeline, offer them an opportunity where they have an exit strategy. And of course, all we know, because we're involved in the XP, and just went out there and started going for it. The challenge is that I had not been in the real estate industry. I know, Sean, you have a similar story. I had sold one house, and I've sold many houses, but that was years ago. And I'd just do a few transactions a year for family and friends, and so now I had to start off with a whole new list of names because I didn't know any realtors. So and then we started going after it, and of course Brent was a huge help, and so that's kind of that's what we've been doing the last few years. We're having some success with it, and not nearly as fast as we want it, but things I learned, and that is over the decades that we were successful at networking. Incidentally, not to brag, but this was a result of a system. Rob Flick and I have similar backgrounds, and I got to know Rob a little bit, and in fact, we knew common people because he was in our industry before, and we knew common people. In fact, we had great reminiscing when we were in Scottsdale for Brent's Inner Circle. Just great information, and got to know him a little bit better. But everything I've done in the past has led up to this moment in time. Has led up to the skills, the systems, all that kind of stuff has led up to what we're doing today. And I just learned, if you read the book, I highly recommend it. Building an Empire by Brian Carruthers is exact playbook that we built our business on. And we started out in the early '80s, and built a huge networking business. We have somewhere in the neighborhood, at one point in time, high watermark, somewhere around 45,000 to 50,000 independent business owners in 50 states and 31 countries that we built as an organization. And I say that to say that it wasn't me. I set the example. I followed a pattern. I was a stickler for duplication. I looked at what was a successful pattern, what we call the 8 essentials back then. Now we call the core best practices. There's a certain system distilled down into simple daily, weekly, monthly, yearly practices that works over a period of time. And it's a process. You got to trust the process. So marry the process, date the results. And that's all we did. We just followed a proven system, and we just put in the work, and we found leaders in our organization, just like we're found leaders here in EXP now. And that's how you do it. You want to build a huge organization, you can't do it yourself. You have to have a system in place. That's what's unique about EXP, and obviously the organization we're all a part of with Rob and Gene and of course Brent. Although they really laid in that foundation, really laid in that step-by-step process that all we have to do is follow, and it works for you too. So
Before we jump into that process, I'd love to know kind of your systems you're doing right now. How many? So you've been doing this for 3 years. What is total count in your FLA and FLQA count, if you don't mind?
Right now we're 30 FLAs. I think here the next couple of days we'll be at 15 FLQAs.
Okay.
And we have about 100 in our organization, and it's been higher than that, but it's just fluctuates a little bit. Now we're starting to see, we're getting more in than getting out. Put it that way. So yeah, it's a process.
Experienced some of the same thing over here. We were dropping there for a while, and now it seems to have kind of gotten steady, and
Turned
we
around.
grew last couple weeks. So that's been awesome that things are kind of turning around. So systems, let's get into that because I totally agree. And everybody here would, if you haven't built a group, obviously you nailed it when you just said that, Clark. It's not, it starts off about you, but once you get this thing going, you're trying to create duplication and find others who will start doing the same thing. So
Right.
let's break down the systems, if you don't mind, that you're using today to create the duplication, and how are you reaching out and so forth. If you can share that with us.
Be glad to. Well, there's what we call the activity loop, and the activity loop is you make a list, you contact, you show the model explain in person with them. In person is I found the best way to do it, or obviously on Zoom in person, and then you follow up, follow through, get them started, and then repeat the process. So that's basically simple system. So it starts with the list of names. And
Hmm.
I've heard so many people interviewed are very very successful. Like the Jay Kinders and the Rob Flicks and the Brent Goes, and they say one thing they would have changed, and that is they would have built their list bigger. They would have focused more on their list. And, I mean, Jay says, several people who eventually got in the business, but not under him, were people that would have been on his list, and
Yeah.
so his business would have been much larger. Not that it's you know doing that badly right now anyhow. So it's doing pretty good. But so I would focus in on that list, to focus in on building that list. The system is very simple, and it's you show the model explained. You make contact with people. There's various ways to do it. In fact, Sean has some of the best scripts I've ever heard, because especially coming from my background, similar to Sean's, is we didn't know any realtors. So how do you find the realtors? I love his comment. He calls people that he knows personally, and just says, "Hey, who do you know that's a successful realtor in your area? I'm expanding my business to your area. Who do you know that's successful in your area? Can you give me their name? And would you mind if I share that you gave me their name?" And that's a great way to expand. I've done some other lead sources, like one was Smart Setter, one was Brokerage Growth. I've tried those programs. It takes a little bit of money to do. I've had some results with it. Worth the money I put in? Well, we'll see. So it depends on how the business develops. But I will tell you this: the unique system that we have with the XP, you can have one huge organization that you personally sponsored. And the beauty of it is, if you have FLQAs or production equivalency, you benefit on that whole organization, all 7 levels. Whereas the businesses I built before, you had to spread it among several different teams in order to
Yeah.
qualify for so that's an ingenious program. And the fact that Glenn, when he designed the program, created more income on the second level than the first level was ingenious too,
Yeah.
because that's going to incentivize people to drive depth in your business.
Yeah.
And so the system I use is just I live by my calendar, not my emotion. And so I make sure that I get in front of at least 3 agents with the full model explained on a weekly basis. 3 agents minimum on a weekly basis. Now I have more Zooms than that. I'm talking about personally sponsoring. So out of width comes depth. You got to put in the width first to find the leaders you can drive depth with. And so when you put 30 wide in your business, you're going to find somewhere in the neighborhood of well, let's use the number 20. 20 wide. When you go 20 wide in your business, you're going to find 3 teams that you can start working with, 3 leaders that you're going to really start working with. The rest will be different levels and so forth. Not that you lose them or anything, but it's the law of numbers. You're looking for that 5%. And you identify those leaders and you treat them. I don't care where they are in each one of those legs. You treat them like they're personally sponsored. You drive depth. You work through people, not what do you call it? Yeah, you work through people, not just with people. And anytime you sponsor somebody personally, you now have a new list, because they have whatever their sphere of influence is. And the key thing is start working off that list immediately. That's because the more depth you have, because exponential growth comes out of depth. Okay, so there's 3 phases of this business. The first phase is the addition phase. That's where you're doing all the work. You're laying in that foundation. Then you get the multiplication stage. That's when you identify a few leaders in your business and start driving depth with them and start building an organization with them. Then you hit the exponential phase. The exponential phase is when leaders develop leaders that develop leaders, and that just takes a period of time. I look at this business as I'd love to have it happen quicker, but as a 3 to 5 year program. We're just hitting that 3 year mark and we're starting to see the momentum. But the key, and back up a little bit, because the system is the activity loop, but plugging them into the 3-way calls, I believe, is the key to building your business large. And I never depended on myself, even though I'm capable of showing the model explain. I never show it. I actually show the video. I show Brent's new video and the three steps of it. I show each one of those steps with each person that I show the model explain to, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't know if they're going to be interested in a rev share. You don't know if you're going to be interested in production. You don't know what aspect. So I'll show all the aspects and determine which area they're going to. And I'm surprised every single time. Because I sat down and just on Friday showed them all explained, sat down in my office, showed the video and everything, and I didn't think she'd be interested that much in agent attraction, but that's where she was really interested in. So I mean, so make sure you show it all to them, and and sometimes I'll tell them, I just say, hey, this is in place. I know you're focused on your production, but this is in place so you can self-fund your own business. Because think about it, you bring a couple agents over and they're capping agents. That first year, that's $8,000. That's $8,000 that can fund your real estate business, can fund, marketing, all your board fees, your tech fee on a monthly basis, all that kind of stuff, just by bringing 2 agents in. And I have my largest business in my organization's out of Arizona. And it was a lady that said, I love the program. I love the stock. I love everything about it. I'm never going to recruit anybody. And when she came over, everybody started asking her about, why'd you come over there? And all of a sudden, now she has the largest group in my business. And so, because they don't like their concept of what we do of recruiting is not at all what we do, because it's really attraction. And it's, organic attraction. It's, appealing to people, always leading with value that, hey, let me help you sell more homes. Let me help you list more homes. Let me help you sell more homes. Come to this event. And that leads into really the key thing that I found in building my other business and building this business is building event to event.
Yeah.
And just get them in the environment. Fortunately, we're in an area, Brent, every single month puts on great speakers, brings on, we use the Placer County Association of Realtors. We just had one with Carrie Soave on AI. We have Matt Plummer coming in next month. The month before we had Spring Benson. I mean, so we don't talk about EXP there, but we just get them there. They see what we're all about. They get in that environment. We have lunch prepared, all that kind of stuff. And that's a great sponsoring tool. I've had people that attend that many times, and then all of a sudden they're ready. You want to catch them, like Rob Flick says, you want to catch them in that looking zone. When the timing is when they're looking and when they're open to looking. And the best way to do that is just maintain contact with them. I was on a Zoom this morning with Albie Stasik and just a group on a program called Accelerate. And just, and we're just sharing that, in fact, he had shared that he'd been, working with somebody and just, touching bases with them, not pushing them, but just touching, knock and keep knocking was, out of scripture, to knock and keep knocking, open the door's open, so he talked about somebody who'd been following up with 4 years and all of a sudden just did the application over last weekend. And I was just sharing, the very first person I showed the model explained to was at Sotheby's, successful agent, #1 at Sotheby's that year and so forth. He just came over after 3 years, actually a little less than 3 years. And I got him to Cabo. got him to Cabo. And the key thing, I got his wife to Cabo with him. And his wife, I didn't know this, but his wife had been, trying to convince him to come to EXP for the last 2 years. But he's, slow to take action. And here's what we did, because he brought a guest to one of the monthly events after Cabo. And it was a guy that was transitioning over to Sotheby. Sotheby bought another company, whatever happened there. But he wasn't happy. He didn't like the new company, and so he came to an event, and all of a sudden he wants to get in, and he wants to join EXP. Well, Steve, the guy's name, had not joined yet. And his situation was a little bit more complex because he was kind of like the office manager too. And so I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a thing called the rev share placeholder agreement. And so we went ahead because, this guy named Ethan wanted to get started right away. So I said, Steve, you need to do this. And incidentally, he was leaving the next day for Europe. And so I got on the phone, got on Zoom, we got an application going, got the rev share placeholder agreement in place, and Ethan came over, brought over his cousin. And so when Steve started, he had 2 people in his group already.
Yeah.
Now I've done that placeholder agreement 3 times this year, and it's worked out great each time because people bring over people. Another person who I actually brought to EXPCon 2 years ago. She was with Epic, and a very successful agent, does business in Nevada and California, now doing business in Hawaii. I just kept following, kept not pushing, just kept inviting the event. And she attended EXPCon. That was the last thing she attended until she came to Build this year. And timing had changed. Things they thought it was really great over there because she was with EXP before, incidentally, about 4 years ago. Thought everything was great over there, better, and turned out not to be that way. The old saying is the grass is always greener on the other side. All too often, we don't know the price of fertilizer. so she just came over, and boy, she's going to be dynamic. She already has a following, and so she's so the key is you just never give up on people, but you keep moving. You don't wait. You believe in everybody, but you don't wait on anybody. You just keep moving forward, keep following the process, trusting the process. But I can tell you the key aspects to the size business we built before and what we're building today is we focus on event to event. We just got good at inviting, not good at selling, good at inviting, good at adding value, getting people. I make a list of every event. I make a list of names of who I'm going to invite. I have a goal set for how many guests I'm going to bring, how many people in width, personally sponsored I'm going to bring, and how many people total in my organization. I set that for every single monthly event, and I set that for every major event. And so if you break it down to major events, it's really season to season. And so that's kind of my system. Okay, I can run 90 days. You can run, for 90 days hard at anything. Okay, so we just do bursts. We do bursts of activity, event to event. So we're coming off a build, going into EXPCon. So we promote EXPCon off a build, and we're coming to EXPCon, and then off of EXPCon we're going to promote Cabo, and we're going to have the infill in between the monthly events. So if you don't have monthly events going on in your area, start doing them. Start out, get a title company, use their conference room, a pizza place, the back room of a pizza, whatever it is, just to get some momentum going with gathering people together. And that's a good formula. That's how Brent built his business, and arguably the number one influencer in all of EXP. Was it like 50,000 in his organization now? So it's good example to follow.
Yeah, no doubt. So a lot of questions, and guys, if you got questions about anything, feel free to speak up. I know you threw out a lot of different things there, Clark. So you build event to an event.
Yes.
Continue to promote. Totally agree. And for those of you, when he made the comment, if you don't have an event in your area, start it. Guys,
Yeah.
you can reach out to 10, 15, 20 local EXP agents in your area and see if they'd be willing to go in with you. You can find a title company, mortgage company that can help pay for the lunches and stuff, but reach out to other people. I'll give you an example. We have a guy, obviously you guys are all aware of Jeff. When Jeff Morrell first started, he's one of our leaders as well, Clark. But he flew
Hmm.
down to Dallas when I was starting to build, and he came and spent 3 days with me. Went to a couple lunch and learned to see how to work it. Went back to Colorado Springs. Nothing was going on. There was 13 EXP agents. He called all of them, invited them over to his place. I think he had most of them show up. Got them all to agree, hey, for the first month, let's all come to the lunch once a week. Everybody try to invite 2 or 3 agents, but got everybody to commit that they were going to come until it started to build. And at first, he was pressing play on Brent's video. No one knew how to present. So the first 3 weeks, he just pressed play until Jeff learned it. By about the fourth week, he started to present, and they ran those lunch and learns for several years. And that's how we built up Colorado Springs. Same thing we did in Dallas. So you guys can do all the same thing. But Clark, I want to ask you today, let's go to present day. Everybody's kind of
Yeah.
listening right now. We've thrown out a lot of stuff. If you're making a phone call today, right out of the blue, or are you doing cold call? Are you still doing a friend of a friend? Is this people you're now doing transactions with, or you're not doing transactions at all, are you?
No, I probably sold maybe 2 properties in the last year,
Okay.
and that was just referrals that they didn't want to work with anybody else or good friends. So that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So do you mind me asking, so what would a call sound like for you today if you're reaching out to a cold prospect? Do you mind kind of sharing how might that approach be?
Yeah, very simple. I number one, compliment them on their production because I look up their production, whether it's homes.com or Courted or whatever. I usually use homes.com because I'm all over the place, So with Corded, you gotta buy a
Smart.
territory kind of thing. So I use that, and I find it's good enough. I'll give them a call and just say, hey, this is Clark Broome. Just wanted to reach out to you. I happen to notice, you sold this property at 123 Main Street. I want to compliment you. I happen to look up your production. You're quite. I just want to compliment you on how successful, let's say they did 20 transactions this year. That is quite remarkable in this marketplace. Can you tell me, what do you attribute your success to? And I just asked them about them. I said, hey, I hope you don't mind. You got a few minutes. Number one, when I call, I say, hey, you got a few minutes? And I want to be respectful of your time. And they say, sure. And then they usually ask, well, what's this all about? Well, I happen to notice, and I just lead in that conversation. Incidentally, every conversation is a little bit different.
Yeah.
You can have your script down, but sometimes they just don't follow the script. So you got to be improvising. And main thing, I want to find out about them. I just ask them, well, tell me about your success. If you don't mind me asking, they say, well, why are you asking? I say, well, I'm looking at expanding in the area. I'm looking for other agents to work with and collaborate with, on a referral basis, but also maybe work together at some point down the road. Maybe share, what's working for you, and I'll share what's working for me, and that kind of thing, and be able to share resources. So I just asked them, tell me about yourself. How did you get in real estate? Why did that? What appealed to you about real estate? What do you like best about real estate? What do you like least about real estate? What's the most important thing to you? What do you like best about your brokerage? What do you like least about, I just started leading into that. And they said, well, and usually if you ask enough questions, you're going to, they say out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Well, you got to
Mhm.
ask enough questions to find out what's in their heart. What are they struggling with? You're looking for a want, need, and desire. And when you find that want, need, and desire, you just then say, hey, I'd love to reconnect with you at some point in time. Are you open for a cup of coffee? Now, if they're local, I want to get together with them in person. And if
Yeah.
they're not, I just, hey, would you be open to a Zoom appointment? I have some things I'd like to share with you that I think will really help you in your production, help you sell more homes, help you list more homes. And I just start going down that road with them. And again, it's going to be situational depending on what their needs are. And then once I've poured enough into them, because this is a cold contact, once I've poured enough into them, then I feel I can ask permission. Hey, let's get together for coffee. I'd like to show you what we're doing with this business model. And I always refer to EXP as a business model and our business platform. And I just say, we have some resources here that, that I think would really help you out a great deal. And they say, well, I love my, down the road, I love my broker. I'm not leaving my broker. And I said, hey, great. Do me a favor. Or I just say, can we come to an understanding you're not going to change your brokerage? You're not going to change your brokerage. But can I ask you this? Could you stay in curiosity? Just stay in curiosity about what we're doing. And they say, one of the things I use as an analogy, I just say, if you had a property in escrow, would you accept backup offers? And they say, well, yeah. They say, well, consider this a full price, all cash, 10-day close, no contingencies, backup offer.
Yeah.
And they always chuckle. Oh, okay. And you just take the pressure off. And I just say, doesn't it make sense to know what other people are doing out there? Why has EXP grown from 2,500 agents to almost 90,000 agents in 10 years? This never happened in the history of business. And so, are you curious about? I mean, I may or may not say that, but are you curious about it? And I want to build that relationship and be situational and offer what they need at the time. And key thing is just maintaining contact. So I have a person very successful. Um, you know, somehow I saw her on LinkedIn, and she made a comment to one of my posts. So I just reached out to her. Hey, how you doing? We got together for lunch, and I invited her to an event, and now we're in the follow up process. So it's just you look for opportunity anywhere. Your antennas need to be up, and the way I have my antennas up all the time is I just follow a pattern every day, and that every day I get up early in the morning, I do my devotional, I get ready, get my mindset right. I listen to Darren Daly, I listen to Minute with Maxwell, and get my mind right for the day. And then I just start attacking my calendar. And I have the night before every day, I write down the 6 most important things by priority that I need to get done the next day that are going to lead me closer to my goals and dreams. And I just attack number one, the big rock first. I attack number one, and I work on that till it's done. Number 2, number 3, and I very seldom get through all 6. And then I just reprioritize the next day. So that's my pattern on a daily basis. My follow up on a daily basis. I have a list of people. I have a CRM, but I mostly use my calendar, honestly. I'm kind of old school a little bit. I got 8x11 sheet of paper. I got all these people written down on a sheet of paper, and I just follow up daily, make calls, send out invitations to the next coming event, build event to event, and just continually build that relationship.
Interesting. So the names that you're calling right now, you continue to follow up. So is a follow-up call, once you've had that initial contact, is it mainly follow-up just to check in with them, see how they're doing, and then invite them to an event?
Yes, that really is the whole thing. Or if I find something that's an interesting article or something like that, I'll send them that information. I have a VA that I'll send emails over to him. He'll email out to my prospect list and so forth, and just kind of keep in contact. Most of the time, they never respond, or not never, but they don't respond most of the time. And then all of a sudden, like I just got an email on Friday. Hey, we sat down with you July of 2024. We met at your office. Really like what you had to offer. Are you open to meeting again? That kind of thing. And so they're ready. So the key is to maintain that. What they say, fortune's in the follow up. And so when I look at my list, I have a little mark next to each name. One, a check mark, follow up every couple of days. That's somebody on my hot list.
Okay.
A pound sign next to them, follow up every few weeks. And then an asterisk next to one, and that is invite to every event. So I have people at different, the hot prospects, less hot, etc. And I just kind of categorize in that way. But I look at that list every day, and I allocate at least a half an hour to an hour to making calls just to that list. And I'm probably prospecting 2.5 hours a day, something like that.
Wow. Okay. So follow-ups and new calls, you spend about a total of 2.5 hours a day
Yeah,
prospecting and
yeah,
follow-up.
yeah.
Um,
So they're in my hopper. Yep.
yeah. So what would you say right here if we've got agents on here that really haven't kicked it into gear with attraction, don't have 2.5 hours a day,
Yeah.
maybe they've got 15 to 30 minutes. So what might you say to an agent you're bringing on board that's going, look, I need to keep my production coming in because I got to pay my bills, but I
Right.
want this attraction to work. If you were coaching them, how might you set that up for somebody with that kind of scenario, which is a lot of agents?
Yeah. First of all, it all starts with why. Why would you want to build a rev share organization? What are your goals? Where do you want to be? And I love Rob Flick because we're from the same mold. We lead with the dream, and that is, I mean, are you want to do you want to do this the rest of your life? I mean, you're only good as your last escrow. As soon as you close an escrow, if you don't have another one, you're unemployed. So do you want to be that the rest of your life, or would you like to put something in place that would could be an exit strategy for you? They could create that ongoing and passive income. And I usually talk about, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sometimes draw that out and just say, here we are on the left side of the quadrant, and you get to the right side of the quadrant. We have a way to do that. So so you find out what their FIN number is, their financial independence number. And I just do this exercise and see how much income would you have to have on a monthly basis, to maintain your existing lifestyle or increase in lifestyle with nobody in your household working. How much money would that be? Great. Then I sit down and say, over this next 3 years, every transaction you have is a realtor on the other side in most cases. Grab a cup of coffee with them. Just say after the transaction's done, just hey, enjoyed having this transaction with you. Let's grab a cup of coffee, and I just get to know that agent more, and that's how I prospect them. Brent Gove took a Friday afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m. every week and made calls and set up appointments the whole next week. That was his extent of prospecting. Now he's very focused and he's very good at what he does, but he made sure he had breakfast, or he always met with people early in the morning, 7:30 before their real estate day started.
Mm-hmm.
And he would meet in a neutral location, title company, whatever the case is. He avoided like coffee shops and so forth. It's just too busy, too much action going on.
Yeah.
And he would sit there and push play and show Rob Flick's video. That's what he did to get started. He brought in 25 people in 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
25, personally sponsored 5 months. The end of the year, he had almost 900 agents in his business. Now, I know that's kind of an extreme example, but he
Mm-hmm.
was also working, 10 hours a day in production in real estate. He'd take Friday morning, and both him and James would take Friday morning off and play golf every Friday morning. That was their whole thing. And the rest was production. And then he was very focused on the agent attraction for those 2 hours. He set up all his appointments, and then he'd just have coffee, and he'd have two days a week he had lunch open. So it was mostly 7:30 in the morning every day of the week, 5 days a week, and then he'd have two lunches available too in case people couldn't make the breakfast. And that's how
Yeah.
he did it.
Yeah.
And so, but he still maintained a very high level of production. He had a team, had an office,
Mm-hmm.
and he just carved out probably 20% of his time on agent attraction. So it's not all or none.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, and it's really very simple. It's kind of like, do you want fries with your hamburger? And it's just, the agent attraction is the French fries, so you're just, and you just work it in.
Yeah.
And when I built my network marketing business, I was working 12, 14 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, mostly 7 days a week in real estate. I met people for lunchtime, in between real estate appointments, in the evening, Saturday morning, whenever I fit it in, because my goals and dreams were stronger than the obstacles I ran across. and because I knew that I didn't want to do the production the rest of my life, because I looked at my mom, 40 years in the industry, was forced to retire because of Alzheimer's, and she had nothing to show for it. Aside from my dad's, my dad passed away when I was young, and he was very high up in the military, so she had a certain amount of income on a monthly basis there, and that was an eye opener for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good point. And what do we got on here? 21 of us. I don't want to be the one just capitalizing on questions, but I love where you're going with all this. And it's a lot of you guys come back here over and over and over, but I think you do need to ask yourself, that's a great question. If you don't do this, what does life look like
right.
5 years, 8 years, 10 years from now? You're doing the same thing. You're not going to be able to get out of production unless you somehow invest enough, rental properties, whatever. And those really take more money, time, and effort than it does to attraction. So
Yeah.
let me just pause before I continue to speak. Questions about anything that Clark has talked about right now? You
I
want him
have a
to
question.
elaborate? Yeah, go ahead, Melvin.
Good morning, Clark. Thanks for sharing.
Good morning.
My question is, where is Brent Grove's new video?
It's very simple. Its URL is themodelexplained.com.
Okay, the model
You
explained.
say new. How new is it, Clark? Because I haven't seen one.
Within the last couple months.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a
Okay,
brand new one he did, and he basically he'd been working on it for a while, but the way he did it, I really like, because it's Brent Go for about 26 minutes, then Russ Lagan for about 6 minutes, going into more detail about EXP, and then the last 11 minutes is a rev share calculator where he shows the potential. And then underneath that, because it's all on a web page really. Underneath that are all links to all sorts of different things, like the EXP toolkits, like the all the resources of EXP. There's all sorts of links underneath that, and it's probably the most effective. And yeah, I always sit there, because I've seen the video. I don't know how many times. I'm sure it's like Rob Blake's video. I mean, I could recite it word by word, and Brent's. But I find that showing all three of it, even though it's a little cumbersome to me because I've seen it so much, understand the person seeing it for the first time. And so after the first video, I just ask a simple question. I says, what excited you most about what you saw? Never ask them what they think. Always ask them what excited them or what do they like best about it. That's going to give me an indicator. Oh, I really like that rev share thing, or I really like, I like the stock, or like,
Yeah.
and then I go into Russ Laggins, which is 6 minutes, and then the 11 minutes, which is Brent Gove sharing the potential, 5-year plan to make 1.5 million a year.
So I'm looking at the first video, it's 27 minutes. Then I see down below it's step 3. But
Step two. Yeah,
yeah,
step 2 is Russ Laggin, then step 3 is Brent Gove doing the rev share.
okay. So it's 27, 6 minutes, and then how long for his rev share?
11 minutes.
Okay. So I get,
Hey,
you know the deal. If somebody watches the first video, if they're really interested, they're going to hang on.
Yeah.
Watch
Well,
the
I'm watching it with them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so I find that I'm either on Zoom watching it with them, because I want to see what the reaction is, or I'm in person. Like the one I did on Friday was all in person. Unfortunately, the event or the meeting ended up about an hour and a half long because we got into a lot of conversation and everything. It was productive, but normally I want to be under an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 45, 46 minutes is good. Now, one of the things I do that I think this is very important, and because you book meetings off of meetings, bam, 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 or whatever. I've learned that forever. I started out first thing in real estate doing that, but the key is I try and set up a three-way call while I'm still at the first appointment. So I'll set up in advance with Steve or Brent or whoever I'm going to put on the three-way call. I'll set that up for right after I watch the videos. I'll have Brent come on, or I'll have Steve come on a Zoom, or in person. I'll bring him in on a Zoom, and just I basically say, hey, you really need to meet this person. They're just exceptional. They're just so generous. They really believe in helping other people. However edify them. Edification is so important in introducing your three-way call. And then I get them on the three-way call, and I just introduce my prospect to Brent, Brent to the prospect, and then I just close my mouth and let Brent or let Steve or let Sean, let Rob do their magic.
Yeah. Book a meeting from a meeting. All
Good
right.
stuff.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mel. Got another question?
Well, the other question is, real quickly, can you share the rev share placeholder agreement?
Yeah, it's oh gosh, where did I actually just have it in a file, but it's called the Rev Share Placeholder Agreement. There's a acronym for it, let's see, RS,
PA.
yeah, PA. And you could look it up on the Google Docs with EXP.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very simple, and you go in there, and such a simple agreement. It's like a co-sponsor agreement. It just like takes 2 minutes to do. So,
Okay.
but they have to fill out their application first. Fill out the application first, then you do the placeholder agreement.
And it holds their. So if I was that person filling out the placeholder agreement, I'm securing my spot for what, 30 days, so I can make the move in 30 days, but I've got a couple people who want to come over and be placed underneath me to go ahead and get started. Is it
Yeah.
30 days? Because that's what it used to be.
You can go as long as 90 days.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
you can choose. And on the placeholder agreement, it'll say 30, 60, or 90 days. Right now, I have one that's end of November, and she's with a brokerage. She has several listings and escrows, and the brokerage will not release them because we just, in fact, the person who sponsored her just had to go through the same thing, so they know that the broker is going to be a stickler on it. So she has to finish out her business before moving her license over, and she has two people that want to join. So. That's what's designed for. Originally, it was designed for brokerages who before the main broker switched their license over to EXP, they could structure their agents and hold that place because legally they have to close their brokerage, then they move their broker's license over to EXP. So that's what it was originally designed for.
Yeah. So when talking to an agent, one thing you just made me think about, you could even ask them just, look, I know we're talking about maybe not even ever switching brokerages, but
Yeah.
if you ever did make a move, is there another agent that you'd love to be in business with, that you'd love to bring along with you? That might be one way just to kind of bring up and find out, are they even thinking about, well, if I made the move, I definitely want this agent to come with me, because then you begin to talk about that place. Or would it be okay if you and I reached out to this other agent? Let's just see if they're open-minded to it. So at least it could possibly open up another door to keep the conversation going if they began thinking about, oh my gosh, if I can be in business with somebody after they've seen the model, I think that'd be real advantageous. But other questions, guys? We've got about 4 or 5 minutes left here before we have to jump. Anybody got to get a question?
Where do we send that to when we do have that?
When you fill out the form, it just automatically goes to EXP. Just same as a join app. So as soon as you fill out the form, hit submit, and it goes to EXP. EXP approves it, which I've never seen them not approve it. It'll ask, why are you doing this? And I always put in there, because we have some agents that want to move over. That's always the best way to do it. And then it automatically submits. So it's now associated with the application. Now the join app will, let's say they sponsored somebody under that placeholder agreement, that person that they sponsor will show up under you personally until they transfer their license. Then it's aligned in the back office. And so just to be aware of that, let the agent know that, hey, they're going to be showing up under me until you transfer your license, and they'll show up under you. The thing is, they will not get any rev share because they can't pay anybody any income when their license is not with us yet. Okay, so that period of time, that 30, 60, 90 days period of time, any rev share goes to you, not to the agent in between. And but there's ways to make that whole.
And all that's explained when you pull up that
Yeah, you can actually pull up.
RFP.
There's a yeah. When you pull up that document, it explains all that. It has all the rules to it. Yeah.
Yeah, if by chance anybody sees that, I have a chance to look. You said you could go to Google Docs, and if you go to Google
Yeah,
Docs,
EXP Google Docs, I think it is.
okay,
And if you go into just look up rev share placeholder agreement.
okay, okay, cool.
Hey, Clark, I had a question.
Sure.
So you were talking about when you have your initial conversation, you're, getting their pain points and just asking questions. And then you said when you're trying to set the appointment up, you say, I have some things, that maybe I can share to help you. So what are your 2 or 3 go-tos in that? I think a lot of agents, not all, but a good portion right now are looking for leads, right? So, Sean had mentioned some of us are doing the funnels, but whether it's leads or just any other topic, or information, what are the 2 or 3 go-tos for you that you're sharing with agents when you
Well,
meet?
one would be the funnel, the program called Funnel Pilot. I would share that with them because that is very successful. Mainly, it depends on them. Let's say they're struggling with the NAR thing, which was not as many people now, but there was a point in time. I just say, we have a toolkit for that. We have all the explanation. We have the buyer toolkit, the seller toolkit, and I just share that with them. The beauty of what Leo did with that whole process is he made it, he made it generic where any brokerage could use it. And in fact, one of the people we brought over, they were so impressed with how EXP handled the NAR settlement, and she was a small independent brokerage in Lake Houston, Texas. And I showed her the model explain. She's a good friend. I've showed her the model explain and talked to her, and she knew agents in the area. Some very successful Remax agents that went over to EXP. All this, and then finally, when the NAR settlement happened, I just said, hey, let me share this with you. I know you're independent brokerage. You probably don't have a handle on the forms and everything you use. Let me just share this with you. And that led to her coming to, actually, she signed up just before EXPCon last year. But,
I think we're past that mostly at this point. So what's your go-to besides Funnel Pilot, your 2 or 3 for lead that you share?
One thing, Brent has events that go on a week or a monthly basis. He has a Zoom that he does every single week. It's called Master Sales. It's at 2:10 Pacific time. At Brent, it's Zoom with Brent.live. Log on to that. We have Viral Workman on there right now. And
I'm sorry, what day and time did you say that was?
it's every Tuesday at 2:10 p.m. Pacific time. And it's Zoom with Brent.live. And right now it's like 20 minutes of fire. And it's Viral Workman doing it right now. I think this is his 5th week doing it. And that's all recorded on brentgove.com. So what I'll do is I'll share those videos. We just had Spring Benson in, did a phenomenal seminar. We had Tina Call in just recently. We just had, and all that's recorded on Brent's site. So I just forward that. It's all YouTube. I just forward those videos to him. I just say, hey, I think this is going to help you tremendously. I have a whole list of people that I've shown them all explained to that are all different stages. And every one of the Viral Workmans that come out every week, I forward the video to them. And we just had, Bill Pipes was in here not too long ago. All this great materials I keep just forwarding to people. And then I follow up and I'll call them up and just say, hey, what'd you think of that? Is that helpful to you? Hey, let's grab a cup of coffee and let's kind of debrief and find out what your takeaways from that was. And it's just.
And it's all spelled out like I have it there in the chat, Zoom with Brent.live,
Yes.
Tuesday at 2:10 Pacific. And
2:10 Pacific. He also does one at 1:30 p.m. called his 1% Club, all geared towards agent attraction.
Same day, Tuesday?
Same day.
So that's done right beforehand?
Yeah, and he brings in different speakers, and of course Brent speaks on him most of the time. He's had about everybody on there, and it's it's like a half an hour of fire. It always goes a few minutes late, but it's
When you said that Zoom with Brent.live, I'll go in just a minute. I can't do it now because it transfers over to a Zoom. That's a website as well that has the previous recordings of whoever's coming on each Tuesday.
no brentgove.com. If you go to brentgove.com,
Okay.
and that's his website, and
Yeah.
click on media. And when you click on media down below, you'll see every single recording. And in fact, from all the builds, from all the every event, Cabo. I mean, there's tons.
It's similar to our site, Sean. Yep.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of great stuff on there with all his stuff. You know, I think the one thing you said, key, Clark, is that it's one thing to send them that, but it's another to call them and say, hey, what tip did you get from that is going to help in your business, right? It's that follow-up with that question, and then, inviting them to coffee or what have you. Again, if you haven't already. So I think that's key, is the follow-up call after you send, whatever you're sending.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a good reason to contact them.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a reason, more information, because you just want to call and say, hey, how you doing? I mean, you can do that. I mean, because it's more of a personal call. But I send them the video and I call them up and I just say, number one, did you get the video? What'd you like best about it? What was your takeaway? And it leads in, even if they've not watched the video, you're still making that point of contact and just say, hey, I'm going to be in your area. Let's grab a cup of coffee. Love to catch up with you.
And that's a great initial, as you're just following up, that's just the perfect call to follow up, right? It's like, hey, I just heard this great training. I want to send it over to you, right?
Yeah.
And then that's one. And then you follow up after you've sent it, right? And ask them those questions you just did. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of them are the people that I invited to the event, didn't make it to the event, and I send a video afterwards. And so that just kind of finally, they start showing up. And it's, but you have that, your hopper list where you're just following up and, and I would put not a date necessarily, but I know approximately when I called them last.
Yeah. Well, hey, Clark, man, first of all, thank you. It is 10:04. It's afterwards, man. We sincerely appreciate your time pouring into us.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So would you like the video? Do you need me to send this over to you at all? Once I got
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd appreciate it.
Fantastic.
And if Sean, if there's anything I can ever do for you, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You've been really gracious with your time with me, and I do appreciate it. And you guys are associated with some of the best people. I'm with Sean and Rob, and you got the best that you're working with. And
Clark.
and this is really, I believe this business is a calling to a large degree because of the lives that our business touches, because it gives them hope, it gives them an exit strategy, it gives them an opportunity not to just work on their business or work in their business, but work on their business and create an asset, but so much more, so much beyond that. That's why these events are so important. To be around the people, to be in that association with other people is such a powerful movement. It's very excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, most people will not take action until they show up to an event and see all the different stories and testimonies to realize, wow, it's not just one or two people. Look at all these people winning.
Yep.
So yeah, you're exactly right. So Clark, man, we sincerely appreciate it. Thank you guys
My pleasure.
for coming on. You guys know the deal. Be back here tomorrow morning. It's all about production. Kathy, by chance, who is it coming on tomorrow morning? I didn't pull that up. You know by chance?
No, I know next week's, but that doesn't help tomorrow. So I don't know. If somebody good, just be there, same time.
Just be there. Production.
It's always good.
It's always good. Just show up. That's right.
Got it. Got it. Well, gang, thank you so much again. Everybody have a wonderful week. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. And Clark, thank you again so much, brother.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Clark.
Right. We'll see you at the XPCon.
You got it.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless, brother. Bye-bye.